My friends, what is going on, and welcome back. We have another fun-filled evening out here in the shop. As you can see, we're torn apart. As most of you know, I'm on a journey to make this 6-liter Powerstroke perfect body-wise. And that's going to include a lot of bodywork on the door, rear bumper, front bumper, because as you can see, there's quite the amount of rust on the bottom of this door, as well as all those panels over there. My main goal is by the end of this video to have all of these body panels in at least primer, if not primer and body filler. We need to get these doors, we need to get this door and those two bumpers completely torn apart. One thing with this door that I did not take into account when I was pulling it off of the truck is I left this window up, and we need to get this window down because I need to pull off all of the seals as well as the window visor that's underneath. So we're gonna have to jimmy rig some 12-volt action from the regulator and not rely on the window switches or the plugs or anything. So I think we're just gonna go straight from the battery of the Subaru and run a couple small gauge wires to figure out what polarity we need to bring this down. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. I just pulled the battery out of the Subaru, so we're going to go ahead. With vice grips, connect one wire to the positive, one to the negative. Use those two wires to push on either of the pins and see if the window will go down. I have no idea if this is going to work, but in theory, it seems like it'll work. I'm a genius. Theoretically, that made sense in my mind. And physically, that made sense in real life, apparently. Bingo, dude. We got it. So, now you know, if you ever need to roll down a window and it's not attached to the truck anymore, make sure you have a 12-volt source, one positive, one negative, and hook it to either side of the pins that is on the window regulator, and you got yourself a working window, my friends. Now we can go ahead and get all these seals off of here, window molding, and be good to paint. Note to self, have a buddy when you do this, especially with these steel body doors. I'm excited to buy a new door. Alright, I'm getting a little ahead of myself with wanting to sand, so let's get all of these panels fully disassembled first, and then we can start sanding. We got everything fully broke down, minus the rear backup sensors. I'm not gonna take those out just yet, mainly because I don't wanna break them and I'm not thinking straight right now. So here is a look at pretty much how we have to go about this. So I made some mistakes upon disassembly. I mean, it's an 05, things are old, no big deal. I can buy new OEM stuff. So I'm gonna have to buy a couple new bumper clips that the bolts go into. They like clip on. Here, I can show you. These right here. So they just slide onto the bumper pressure clip, and it has a threaded insert on the end. I broke a couple of the big ones off that hold the bumper support brackets to the actual chassis of the car, so we need to go ahead and put a few of those on order. I did just break a license plate light. It's just the cover, so it'd be pretty cheap to replace. They're interchangeable, so you buy one, it's the same as the other one. No big deal. Lastly, the last thing to do is going to be pulling the door code off, and then the door handles and the mirror, along with the weather stripping and that. So that's going to be the last of the disassembly. I majorly overestimated how long this is going to take to disassemble these. So I thought we were going to get primer on the door tonight. We are not. We'll hop into that tomorrow. But let's take a look at what needs to get ran through. So this is way worse than I thought it was once you take the top off. So getting up in here, it's not that bad. We're gonna epoxy prime everything, give it a fresh coat of base. This has to get sanded out completely, sanded. This whole rear section pretty much has to get sanded completely. I did get rear-ended here, so you can see there's massive scuffs. That'll get primed. That's gonna have to get sanded and primed all the way along the end. And then this is where most of the damage on the front bumper is. But it is starting to rust, bubble underneath, so just sand this whole thing, reprime it, and then you get to the piece de resistance. This door is really bad. Thankfully, it's not through on any of the sides, so this can be fully sanded down, and there'll be no problem getting that primed. It is late for me right now, so let's hop back into this in the morning. What you just witnessed was probably the best method I've ever found of getting rust off of panels. First step, we used the grinder with a wire wheel on it. That brought it down to bare metal really fast, and it hit all of the dimples and like the nipples and stuff that rust was sitting in the valleys. So as you can see, this got pretty deep in there. We got really lucky that we pulled this door off when we did, because it was about to pop all the way through. I'm hoping that's the same. These seem a little thicker than the doors do, so I think we'll be fine there. However, I don't know if you noticed, but the rust extended quite a ways up past where we thought it did. And with that being said, since it's made its way pretty far and into the center of the door, hopefully there's no other rust spots under here that are going to rust out of nowhere when we go and bring this guy back to life. But I did find that this truck has had some body work in the past. Take a look right here. you can see this is body filler underneath. There's a thick layer of body filler underneath along this whole door. So I don't know the history of this door, but this is the only panel that is rusting other than the front and rear bumper. So my assumption was either rear-ended, pushed the truck forward, so the bumper got hit as well. In turn, the bumper pushing into this door, causing the front, rear, and this door to rust, when none of the other panels on the truck are rusted. So I'm curious to see, like, we have to fix these little spots too on the front fender right here, but that'll be pretty easy. I could leave the panel on the truck for that, and it's gonna have to get re-cleared, as you can see, because it's fading really hard. But now that I kind of look at it, you can see how beautiful blue this is, and then you come here and it's like a different shade, kind of. So they kind of blended it onto here. I think that this truck was either hit from the front or the rear, and it hurt that fender, the door, and the front and rear bumpers. And that is why this door is rusting and those panels are rusting, because the people who painted it before didn't do a good job. Because I can guarantee you that all of this stuff is OEM paint, but I'm not so sure about this. The only thing that makes me think that this could be OEM paint is the flames are absolutely perfect. I know body shops can recreate it, but I don't know. I've never seen a good job other than the factory. So with how this sits right now, we need to get primer on this door ASAP, because it is a steel body and it will rust within the matter of an hour because it is down to bare metal. So we need to go ahead and mix up some primer. I'm going to feather out these areas some more on the paint, so that when we go and lay primer on all these areas, it'll stick and it'll be fine. Okay, we got this fully scuffed up. We're good to go. All the rust is out of here, so next thing we need to do, we're going to take some of that plastic right there. We're going to tape off the bottom section so we don't get any paint on the actual nice part. And then we're going to hit this with epoxy primer first, just to seal out the rust. I can already see some of the old heads in the comments saying you have to do body filler first. That's not true. Technology has come a long way. You can go ahead and epoxy primer first to seal in this rust, which is no longer there, but to seal up this bare metal so that no moisture can get in here, and then you can go ahead, scuff it up with 600 grit, and put your body filler on top. The body filler will adhere just fine to the epoxy primer, and then we'll go ahead and sand all of our body filler off, and it'll be ready for base and clear. Alright, so we're getting set up to spray some epoxy primer here, and this is what we're going to be using, is the MP170. That's our epoxy primer. That mixes 2-to-1 with the epoxy primer catalyst, MP175. So it's going 2-to-1, so we're going to go here with the epoxy, and then up to that right there with the reducer, and then that's where you can reduce it up to 15% if you want to with acetone, and we're not going to need to do that right now. So we're just going to go, there's one part, and then there's the other part of the catalyst, so that we can have just enough to spray out these panels. I don't think we need a whole ton, just because there's not that massive of an area. So let's mix up that. If need be, we can mix up more. This does have an 8-hour pot life on it, and it does need a 15-minute induction time before you spray onto the panel, to let everything inside catalyst up and do what it needs to do and become epoxy-ish. So let's get this open. We'll mix it up. We'll mix it up 2-to-1 so we can get it onto the panel. Alright, well that is doing its 15-minute induction time. Let's go ahead, let's clean out our gun, make sure that this is going to spray nicely. I am just using a Harbor Freight gun. This is one of the more expensive ones. It's their Spectrum gun. It does have a 1.7 tip on it, and that is because this is primer. It's a little thicker than base and clear, so we are going to use a little thicker of a cap to be able to get it through and make sure that this lays down nicely. Alright, so we got this door in epoxy primer underneath and the top. We got all the rust taken care of. As you can see, it looks like absolute junk just because we haven't done body filler yet, but I needed to seal that bare metal before we put on body filler. Because if we didn't, body filler is porous and epoxy primer is not. So if you do body filler before epoxy primer, you can seep water or moisture underneath that body filler, and that is going to cause rust again in the future. Hence, this spot right here where they did body filler on bare metal to make this straight, but didn't take into account the moisture is going to get underneath, hence why we have rust right there. So we got the door prepped out, all the rest spots done. So the next thing that we can do on this door is, once this epoxy primer has a couple days to shrink up, dry out, do what it needs to do, we can go ahead and put body filler along all of the spots where the rust was really bad. As you can see, it's where all the dimples are. And then we'll epoxy primer again on top of that, sand everything smooth, base clear, be good to go. We are going to be blending this panel. So this is staying factory here. So we're going to be blending pretty much from like here down, and that's going to match the back door. So hopefully the naked eye can't tell, and we'll see how good of a butt match this is going to be. We still have to do some disassembly on the doors. That is before we go ahead and do base and clear. I just haven't done it yet. I don't know why. I just don't really want to right now. Before we get too wild with the bodywork and stuff on the door, we have these two bumpers to take care of as well. But now that I got the process down, this is going to go really quick. So I'm going to throw up a quick time lapse of me wire wheeling this out, sanding it down, and getting this into epoxy primer so we can go ahead and do a bunch of it. All right, it has been a long few days of work. We have all of our stuff out here in epoxy primer. Everything looks great. As you can see, all the pitting has been grinded out, rust removed. I used like a rust inverter, I guess you would call it. So grinded it all out, put rust inverter on it, epoxy primed it. Everything should be good to go and not have any issues with any rust. You can see in here all of the pitting from the rust. So with that being said, we need to go ahead and make these panels straight again. This needs body work, this needs body work, and this door needs a lot of body work. And I think if we come over here on the other side of the Subaru, perfect. We have all of our bodywork stuff ready to go. So we have our filler, our hardener, and then right down here in my arm is the glaze. So this filler and glaze here is the last step for these pieces before we go ahead, do filler primer, and get this thing in color. I know this may seem like it went really quick, but this was about 4 days of work to get to this point. That just shows you how crazy YouTube is sometimes with how much work people put in behind the scenes to give you a 15 to 20 minute video. So with that being said, let's get our workspace cleared off because it is absolutely destroyed right now. This entire garage is absolutely destroyed and I'm running out of space. So let's get this cleaned up here and then we can go ahead and start our body work. Oh my days. We have some freaking sanding to do, boys. Jesus. Alright, so everything that was rusted is completely covered up. All of the paint chips that were feathered out underneath are fully taken care of. The driver door is fully taken care of as well. All the way up to the previous body filler, which is trash, by the way. But now that I look at this, I realize I missed one crucial spot. Which isn't that bad because it is pretty feathered out, but might as well just hit that with a little bit of body filler while we have it out. Let everything dry. And then we have a butt ton of sanding to do. I don't know if any of you were watching when I rebuilt this car to make this body straight, but the entire roof, I'll throw a clip on the screen, was full of dents, chips, rust, all of that jazz. So I know what it takes to sand this stuff, and it's a lot. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get to it in this video. It still has to dry, cure up, and then we have to sand. So we have a lot of work. Our work is cut out for us. But the fact that we got this far in this video is ridiculous. The amount of work that is put into this truck, this thing might as well be a show truck. But if you look at the rest of the truck, underneath, it is nowhere near perfect enough to be a show truck. So this is where we're at right now. We have a lot of sanding to do, like I said, and then after our sanding is done, we're going to hit this with filler primer, and then we're on to base clear, and hopefully that'll be the end of it, but I doubt it. So one other thing I wanted to touch on before I let you guys go. As you can see, we're going to lose our beloved flames. Now, I said in the previous video, I don't love them and I don't hate them. I can do with or without them. So we're going to go without them, and I have a plan on how we're going to do that. But this door is going to get full base and clear, so there will not be any flames underneath what we're going to do to this truck. On at least the driver door. The rest of the truck will have flames, so if I do end up selling this thing and somebody wants to put flames on it or bring the flames back, I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. At least not in my lifetime. So I'm satisfied with the progress that we got today. I think this is going to come out great. And before we go ahead and do base clear, we do have to pull that mirror off, which I'm dreading. I don't know why. It's like 3 bolts. However, that's going to be a wrap on today's video. I appreciate all you guys hanging out with me. Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned for the next episode. This is going to be sick. We're going to go ahead, get this sanded down, and we're going to do base clear and get this truck in color next episode. Currently working on it right now. I have all the base and the clear sitting right there. So, with that being said, I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you guys so much. I can't wait until this truck is in color, and I can't wait for you guys to see this video. With that being said, I'm going to wrap it up right here. Appreciate all of you. I'll catch you guys in the next video.